Okay, here we are back inside MatrixGold once again. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're a subscriber or been watching the channel, thank you very much. Go ahead and tap on that notification bell for further content notifications. Leave me a comment. Please leave me a comment. Love to hear from you. And hit that like button, share the content. Really appreciate that. Also, if you'd like to buy me some coffee, there is a thanks button right below here. You can buy me a cup of coffee. And actually, I just got me a fresh one. So right here in front of me. And also mastering MatrixGold, a smooth transition from Matrix. Our second session will be February 13th, coming up quickly at 11 a.m. Central USA time. So please check your time zones. I'll post a link below. We are going to be going over quite a bit of stuff, and we're going to be diving into parametric history and how to think about it when designing, before you start designing, actually, to be able to create the designs totally parametric for quick modifications and changes. So please, if you're a MatrixGold Academy member, you can attend the second session. If you are not, think about joining the Academy. It might be useful to you if you're new to the MatrixGold. And also you get a 6 months free Academy membership for MatrixGold when you do purchase MatrixGold. So, and I would recommend not activating that right away. Play around with MatrixGold for a little while and then activate your membership so you don't waste the time on the, because you want to get used to the interface, I would say beforehand. So please, if you are a member of the Academy, please go ahead and register for the live show at 11 o'clock Central USA time, and the link is below. Also, there are some links below that for jewelry equipment and printing, so check those out if you're interested. What we're going to do today is we are going to design a halo, but we're going to do it a little bit differently than probably what you've seen before. And to me, this way is just a little bit easier way to for your craftsman. I think your craftsman will probably thank you for doing it this way. But let's dive into it and get going. So I'm going to use a cathedral ring rail for this exercise, and actually we can come back and modify this at any time. So I'm not going to worry about setting anything up over here at the moment, and I'll just go ahead and accept this. And I'll select the rail right here in the middle, and I will go to my gems and go to on ring rail, right? And I will get my cursor over that ball, hold down shift, click and drag it up so that it's centered in our 5-0 right there. And I will just go ahead and maybe bump that up in the Z direction just a little bit more. Something like this should be fine. And then I'll go ahead and accept that. And what I'm going to do right away is go ahead and grab the halo. Okay, so I'll go to settings and then I'll go to halo. And as I said, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We don't want a channel set in there or anything like that. We want it pretty much from end to end the stones, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here in my dynamic commands, and with the cluster activated here, I'm going to scroll down and channel gems enabled. I'm just going to turn that off. And then I'm going to go to my halo, and I'm going to channel. I'm going to turn that off. So now I just have a piece of metal going around solid, right? I'm going to go ahead and drag that in as far as it will go. And I am going to go ahead and drag that up to the minimum 1.5 by default, right? And now I'm my profile width, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to go over here, profile width, and I'm going to type in a 1.5 as well. And then hit enter, and you'll see it update right there. So you can always go back in and modify those any way you want, right? And from here right away, I'll just go ahead and accept this for right now. Well, actually, let's go back and do a little editing because we can. And the halo profile height, we'll go to cluster. We'll go to halo, actually. And we're going to check our front viewport out, and I'll just drag that up just a smidgen, something like that, and then hit enter, right? Now I need to make sure my prongs from my head do not go into my halo too deeply. So I'm going to grab my center stone there, and go ahead and put a head on there. And as you can see right away, it's coming in way too much, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and rail count, change that to 1. And we'll go in here and we'll drag this overall height up into our item here. And you can play around with it to get it to exactly where you want, right? We'll just kind of bump it up into something like this, so it's kind of pretty even with the most of the rest of the halo there. And then I'm going to go ahead and change that rail profile. Again, this is all personal preference. I'll go to something something like this one perhaps. And then I will go ahead and click to level 4, and I will bump this ledge up something like that. So I got something like this going on, right? And that's okay for me, I think. I could also take those, go back to my first one, level 1, and then bring those prongs down a little bit if I want. So we'll just say this is okay, and then we'll hit enter. Now it's coming into my halo quite deeply, and I don't want that. I just want it barely touching so it can make that connection, right? And so I'll go to the halo, and I will go to, I think it's a first edit, and then my cluster there. I'll just kind of watch right in here as I drag it out, and so that it's just kind of barely touching in there, right? And then of course I want to check my underneath side and make sure it's touching, and it is, no problem. So that's probably okay for me. Just wanted that little bit touching right there, so it makes that connection, right? And then of course check your underneath side, make sure it goes all the way down there so you get a nice contact. And then we'll go ahead and hit enter. Now what I'm going to do is go to my curves, and I'm going to extract an ISO curve from this surface, and I will need to change that to 180, and then I'll drag it in to where it disappears right there, and then hit enter, right? And I'll select that curve, and now I'll go to my gems and then flow my gems on there, right? And you can see my gems are pretty much the same size, or pretty close to the same as my rail, and that's kind of what I was going for, right? And I'll just go ahead and drag this all the way around and move those pretty close together but not past each other. And check my bottom. It kind of has a little space here, and it's there, so it's not really even. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little even, so I'll just space it a little bit more. Something perhaps like this, right? So I have a stone here, my north, and I have a stone here in my south, and I have spacing on east and west. And then I'll just go ahead and take that. All right. Now I could drop those down a little bit, you know, no problem, but it doesn't really matter. You know, just take the placement and drop them down just a little. But we'll just leave them where they were at for now. And then now what I'm going to do is go in here to, I want to kind of watch over here, but I want to be able to work on my top viewport. So I am going to go to settings, and normally you would do prong placer, right, and lay them all out. Well, we're going to go to a prong on surface, and then we're going to select this surface right here, and it drops the prong out there for me, and it's pretty close to where I want it. I can manipulate it a little bit wherever I want it, right? It's placed on my surface. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, can't do it from I can't really grab any of the handles from my perspective, so I'll come in here to my right side here, and then I'm going to drag this pretty deep in there, and then I'm going to go and just bump it up just a little bit, right? Something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and place one over on this side, and I want them kind of close to the same, so kind of check them out, see if you have to move it a little bit to get it to where it lines up more, right? Something like that, right? And then over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a prong right here, And then on this one, what I'm going to do is come in here and make it just a little bit thicker so that I have a little bit heavier prong there to be able to set those two stones there. So what it's basically going to do is have two prongs on this side holding it in and then one on that side there, right? So something like that. And I think that's all I need. Yeah. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and take that. Now we'll take these. Well, before I do that, yeah, they all went in the same depth as that one, right? So uh, they're all the same depth. So if I click on this one and I go to a perspective wireframe, right? It's going deep in there, right? The placement about the same deep as that first one because it all placed them the same, right? So now let's go back to here. Let's go ahead and accept this. Now I'll take these and I'll go to transform and I'll go to polar array and I will change it from my Y to my Z and then I'll just start bumping them up to until I get them all where I want them, which is something a little bit more, one more maybe, something like that, right? So I have two prongs here, one prong there, right? And then I'll go ahead and hit enter. Now it looks like I don't have really much spacing there, so I want a little bit more spacing between those stones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my prong on surface and do a little editing. And I want those to maybe come over, well, let's click on, yeah, that one. So something like this perhaps, and then I'll come over here and grab this one and then move this one over a little bit. I want a little space in here, right? And I want to check to make sure they both look pretty close to the same on the outside, and it looks okay. And I have a little spacing here now. It looks a lot better than what it was, right? And then I have that little bit larger prong in the center. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm going for, and I'll just kind of scan around, make sure everything looks okay, which it looks like it does. And then from this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our cutters and do our micro prong cutter right here. And we'll select that, and we'll select the gems, and we'll hit enter. And it throws this out. It looks like it's coming across the back side here, so we'll just come over here, and we'll drag that out a little bit. And I'm going to change those prongs to the infamous U bottoms, the U shape on the bottom there. And we'll give it some wireframe so we can kind of take a look at it and then zoom in here. And where do we want to place it? How deep do we want it to go, right? So you can set that up however you want. And I'll go back to our shaded mode, and I'll just make that a little bit wider. Something like that I think should be fine. So we'll go ahead and take that. Now I want to check it out as I go. So I could flow the other prongs out or cutters out there, but it gets a little messy, you know, or cluttered. So I'm just going to take it and I can go back and edit it as I need to. So let's go into solids and go ahead and do that boolean real quick. Hit enter. And then this one, enter and enter. So we have that first cut, right? And that's kind of the way it looks there. All right. So now I'm going to go back to my cutters. And this time I'm going to grab a channel cutter and then select my gems and then hit enter. And it'll put my cutter out there, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here to my cog, click on my cog, and I'm going to enable wireframe command while is running. So click on that, just so I can see through the cutter and get it set up exactly where I want it, right? And now I'll go ahead and change that cutter profile back to our U. It could be any you want, of course. We'll just go ahead and take this one. And I need to maybe make it a little thinner here, something like this, right? And then I need to go ahead and go to shading because we'll need to mess around with that depth a little bit. So I'm going to bump it up something. And if I line those up like that, I can kind of see where that's going to cut. So I can kind of place it pretty close to that. And then we'll go ahead and take this, change it back to shading. And we'll go ahead and do another cut, Boolean difference. This will be our first surface, enter, and that will be our second, and enter. Okay, so we have that, and if we hide the gems, we can see we have a nice cutout. All right. Now, one more time, maybe. Let's see. Let's go into cutters. And let's grab back to our micro prong cutter, right? And then select our gems and hit enter. And wait for it. And now this one, it's over the top of our gem, but we don't want that. We're coming over to our dynamic commands here, and we're going to go down here between gems right here. And it'll change it from this location to right in the center or between the gems, right? Which it says, and that's what we kind of want. And then I can take this and kind of manipulate it to where I want that cut, right? Now, hopefully I place those prongs down deep enough where it's not going to really affect this back prong. So maybe that's kind of the cut we want. We'll go ahead and hit enter, and we'll go to solid, go to Boolean difference, select our surface, enter, our cutters, enter, and wait for it, and then enter, right? Now I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to hide it real quick and kind of just check out this back side and make sure that prong goes deep enough in there, which it looks like it does. So now I have a nice little cutout going around, right, for my prongs. And it makes it so much easier for the craftsman to be able to set doing it like this, because they actually have the prongs there. So we'll bring that back on out. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get this shank on there, I guess, would be probably good to go. So let's go to our tools, and let's go ahead, well, before we do that, let's go ahead and set up our cathedral rail, right? So cathedral rail, edit, and first we'll kind of maybe drag it up in there a little, maybe not that high, something like that. Wait for the dots to disappear, and then we'll just kind of come over here and grab this one and kind of bring it in so that it goes into our shank a little bit. Wait for the dots to disappear, and then we'll kind of bump this over into something like that. And we'll go ahead and accept that for right now, and we'll take a look at it, see how deep. Okay, it's coming a little too far over, so we're going to grab that one again, and we're going to edit it just slightly. We don't want that shown, right? And we'll just kind of bump it out just a pinch and wait for it, and then we'll bring this one back in, something like that, and then I'll go ahead and hit enter. And that looks okay. Yeah, okay. So there we go with that. And now let's go to our profile, and let's just snap a profile in here. I'm not going to get too crazy with the profile. First thing we want to do though is outside ring rail, right? This one here. And then we'll need to make this a little bit smaller. We can take it down to, 1.7, something like that. We'll just go ahead and mirror it over to the other side. And then also we'll place another profile down here at the bottom by holding down shift and click it there. And this one we definitely want to widen out a little. And we'll make it to a 3.5 and something like that. Enter. Now, I don't think I altered the outside of my cathedral, so we'll just bump this out to maybe 2.2. And we'll bump this one down to a 2.2 as well, something like that. All right, so we have something like this. We'll go ahead and accept that. And now what we'll do is go to our wireframe, and we will go ahead and do a sweep to parametric, and we'll do here, select that profile, this profile, and that not that one, this one, and then hit enter. And we've got a nice little, oh, I got edit on, so let's go ahead, change this, grab that wireframe, turn that off, and then now we can see it in a solid area, right? So we got something like this going on, right? Now, a lot of them I see, people, just doing this and then running a rail across, maybe bringing it down a little bit and then not really have anything going up. I guess that's fine depending on whatever you're trying to do. We're going to do a little bit something different here. We're going to give it a nice little decorative under gallery. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our curves, extract ISO curve from this surface, and again we want to change that to 180, and now you should be able to manipulate this, and you should be able to manipulate any time. So just kind of place it wherever you want it, hit enter, and then we'll grab that and we'll go to a parametric offset right here, and it'll offset that curve for us. And now what we want to do is we want to bring that curve down below our ring rail, and then right up here at the top we can still adjust it. We're going to bring it down something like that. So you can change that to any size you want, of course, and we have that. So what we're going to do is go to surface, and we'll go to loft, and we'll do a loft from here to here, and then hit enter. So it gives us that loft, and I'm not sure if there's, yeah, it's probably just going to go straight because there's only that there. But you can do all kinds of different things and hit enter. Now if you wanted to go back and manipulate it, you could select that offset curve, right, and it still gives you the handle up here, and you can go back and manipulate it however you want, right? We'll just say something like this is fine, and we'll hit enter. Now I'm going to select that surface. I'm going to go to my offset, and it's going in the outside. I don't want it to go in the outside. I want it to go on the inside, and I have it set at a 0.5. I think that's probably okay, and I'll just go ahead and accept that. Now I'll go to my cutters, go to my ring rail cutter, and select my ring rail first because there's 3 rails out there. I'll select that one, and then I'll select my surface and then hit enter, and it just makes that cutout for me. And I'll take that original surface and just hide it, and you can see we have a little cutout there, right? Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take all my yellow and turn it to gray just to hide it, right? Now what we're going to do is go to transform, go to auto base, and this will only give us half of it, which is fine, and then I'll accept that, and then we'll take that and I will flip that 90 degrees and then hit enter, and then I'll just go ahead and center it and then drag it out. You don't have to do all this, it's totally up to you how you want to lay it out to work on. And what I'm going to do is go to curves, and I am going to scroll all the way down here from object and do dupe edges, and I'll just select that entire object. I'll turn it to red and then hit enter, and then I will hide that base so I can just work off this. And I did dupe edges versus dupe border because they're separate. And now what we're going to do is lay out a little design. Now what we have to remember though is this edge or that edge, I'm not sure which one's the bottom, we'll figure that out as we go, but we do need to offset that edge because that edge will have a little arc because our shank, our ring rail, right? So we're going to offset this one. I'm going to go to my arrow here, I'm going to hold down Alt so it'll make a dupe, and then I'm going to click on it so I can input something. And I'm going to make a 1 point, I don't know, 3, and then hit enter. So it duplicates that up there, right? 1.3. Now I'll go ahead and we'll change to yellow from here and start drawing some kind of design. You can draw any kind of design out here you want, of course. I'm going to go to arc direction. I'm just going to maybe snap right around in here somewhere, come over here, give it a little arc, something like that, and then I'll offset this arc. Let's see, we'll do through point. Where's my through point? There it is. And then we'll do something like this here, and now we'll just go ahead and extend this curve here to this curve, hit enter, and then extend it to that one. And then we'll go ahead and extend it here. I can't. Yes, I can. I could undo that. We'll go ahead. Okay. I'll right click, bring it back here, enter in. I just want to extend it to there, right? So now that they're touching, right? And I'll hit enter. Now I'll select those two and I'll mirror them from this point here and holding down shift so they go straight up there, something like that. And that's kind of blasé a little bit, so let's go ahead and do some more manipulation here. Let's go and grab another arc direction, and before I do that, actually, let's go ahead and grab just a straight curve so I can get a guide, and we'll just put it up like that. Now I'll go back to that arc direction, third one down, and go from here, I don't know, maybe over to here, and just give a little U there. And I will take that and right click here, and we'll go to offset. We won't make it so big. We'll go through point. We'll make it a little thinner here. Yes, that's okay. And we will go ahead and extend this one, enter, click on it to here. All right, so we got something like that. Now I'll take these two. Well, let's go ahead. There, okay. I'll hit enter. Okay, we got that, got that, got that. Okay, so let's take these two. We'll go to mirror from here over to there, right? And it's kind of blasé or whatever. So I'm going to take this one and kind of move it over to here. And I'll go ahead, excuse me, and take this one and kind of bring it over to there, something like that, right? And now I'll just go ahead and delete these two for a second because we need to go ahead and do that part. So connect. I don't know if this will cut. Will it trim? Join, yes. No, I don't want to join. Arc, smooth. Yeah, it cuts that off. Okay, well, bummer. All right, so we'll just go to extend here, there, and right click here. Well, right click here, there, enter. Okay, so we have that. And now we'll just go ahead and get rid of this, select these two, and do another mirror from that point there, holding down shift so that it goes straight up, something like that, right? Okay, so we'll go ahead and take all of yellow, and we will do some trimming for right now. We'll trim out this piece, and this piece here, and we'll hit enter and hit OK. And now let's go ahead, take all this, and let's just go ahead and join it together. And let's go ahead and duplicate it from this point here to that point there, and right click. And now let's go back and take all yellow again, and we'll go to transform a scale 1D from this point here to that point there to that intersection snap right there. Okay, so now it's all inside our item, right? But we have this little kind of kinky thing right here in the center, right? So let's go ahead and fix that. We'll go to curves. We'll go to edit tools. We'll go to match, and we'll grab this one and this one. It kind of gives us a nice little U shape, tangent C, hit OK, and right click, and we'll do it to this one here, and we'll hit OK. So now it's got a nice little U, sort of like this here and that there. All right, and there's a lot more you could do in here if you wanted to, but I think this is okay. So now what we're going to do is go ahead, select the entire item, and we'll go back to trim, and we'll start trimming everything off that we don't want, right? We need that. We don't need this. Don't need that. We need that. Don't. Nope. Nope. And now we have our item that we're going to kind of look like. And let's join all that together since we're here. And we check it, close planar curve, close planar curve, close planar curve, and close planar curve. So we should be good to go, okay? So let's go ahead and turn back on our auto base there. And let's go ahead and take that yellow in there, and we'll go ahead and change that to red. So it's all red. Now what we can do is we can go to solids and go to extrude curve straight, and we'll just select all that red, and then we'll hit enter, and we're going to do it from both sides. Now we don't need it real thick, but we need it fairly thick. So we'll do something, I don't know, I think something like that should be fine. Okay, and I'll take that surface and we'll change it to this here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and grab all that red, and well, we'll just turn it off right now. Okay, so we should be able to be set up for a smart flow, right? So we'll go back to transform. We'll go to our smart flow. Where's it at? Toward the front, right here. And we'll select this surface here, our base surface. We'll select our destination surface right here, and it's coming down from the top, and those are coming in from the top. So we'll flip that U direction so that now those are coming from the bottom, and that base will be on our bottom there. And we'll select our object right here, and then we'll hit enter. So it kind of flows it out there, right? Which is pretty much what we want, I think. So we'll just go ahead and accept that. Now I'm going to take this object, and I am going to, I'm going to select the object, and I'm going to transfer it over to the other side and hit enter. And now I'm just going to go ahead and, you don't have to probably do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Boolean union, this one here with this one here, and enter. So we have the one, and I'll change that to a cutting layer. All right. And I'll just go ahead and grab all this for right now and hide it because we might need it. And it goes through our item. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our Boolean, except this time we're going to do a Boolean intersection. So it's just going to keep everything that's touching each other. So this will be our first surface, enter, and this will be our second surface, enter, and enter. And there we go. We have a nice little crown under bezel, and it's connecting there nicely. And we have a nice thick base there for wear and tear and grinding and all that kind of other stuff that we have to do. So we should be good to go for that. All right. So the next thing would be is to close this area up here, right? So let's go ahead and grab, tools rather, profile. And it places that out there. We'll just go ahead and keep that, I guess. And first thing, I think we kind of might have to adjust. I think we did I don't know what was a 1.2, I think. So let's just start out at a 1, and then we can manipulate it as we need to. And let's take this into 1.7 is probably fine. And then I'll go ahead and bump that out so that it goes right inside our shank. And then we'll mirror it over to our other side and then hit enter. And I will change it to shaded mode, and we'll go to surface, sweep 1, parametric, here, and enter. And let's give it some shading now so we can kind of take a look at it. And that goes in there fairly good, but I think we can manipulate that a little more. So let's go ahead and grab that profile again, and we can make it a little thicker, right? So let's bump it up a little bit. We don't want to go way up in there. We just want to kind of make that connection a little bit smoother. And we'll do something like that. Now, just in case, you never know, right? So I'm going to take that. I'm going to duplicate it in place and change it to blue and turn it off, just in case. Because this next step, right? This next step, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our solids again and do a Boolean difference, except this time, this is the item we're going to be cutting, and this will be our cutter. And there you go. It cuts that center piece out, right? And then we'll hit enter. I didn't need the blue, but better to have it than not. And now I'm going to ungroup these, right? And now I can just grab that one in the center and delete it, right? So there's our item. And, you know, to me, this is just a much easier way to set, have nice thick prongs, and easier for the craftsman to be able to set. You can always go back and grab those prongs, right? And go to your prong on surface and keep editing them, all prongs, right? So if I wanted to maybe take them down, the height of them down a little, I'm in perspective. Let's go to side view. Maybe I want to take those prongs down a little bit. I can just grab them and move them around however I want, right? And then we can just hit accept. And it places them all back out there. Now, the last thing you'll want to do before you make those, you'll need, to do your render or whatever. You probably want to save it from here in order to be able to manipulate everything at a later date if you're needing to. But join those together and make those Boolean cuts, the gemstone cuts, right, through the cutters, gem cutters, right, and put those in Boolean all that together so you can do a nice render and not get any shadows going in there unless you do the V-Ray materials, right? So hopefully this will help you. And if it does, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I really appreciate hearing from you. And if you have that academy, please go ahead and register for the live show on Tuesday, February 13th at 11 o'clock U.S. Central Time. I'd love to see you there. And if you can watch them from the channel, please make a comment. Leave a comment. You've seen the YouTube channel or something like that. I'd love to hear that as well. So thanks for watching, and good designing.